All righty, everybody. I think everything is going according to plan here. I sure hope so. Anyways, welcome to the first ever ReFrame Friday. I'm joined with, of course, Coach Megan. Megan, how are you doing today?
Hello, great. Yeah, thanks so much for having me on again.
Of course. So we did we bookended the week this week. That's still a 2 out of 5 is pretty darn good. So we started with Mind Shift Monday, of course, and here we are on Friday for ReFrame Friday. Oh, I gotta get the other way. There we go. Yeah. So shout out to you for the graphics. This is why I like collaborating, Megan, is like you get different ideas. I started ReFrame Friday with a graphic that was kind of like a 2006 horror movie almost. It was like a
It's a
creepy
little
ladder that was
dark.
going, yeah, right. And you're like, yeah, maybe not that one. And then you kind of gave me this idea of like the supposed to say butterfly. That is not a butterfly.
Dandelion.
Dandelion. Yes, thank you. Again, glad to collaborate with you here. Correcting my words. Yes. Okay. Excellent. So what the whole idea here with Reframe Friday is we want to clear the air, clear our energy centers of like, things that have and happened during the week that were points of frustration or, whoa, get out of here. It's like a feather in here randomly. Maybe it's part of the
Good
dandelion.
luck. Yeah.
and so yeah, that's kind of it. Like we're heading into the weekend. We don't want to be bringing this like hostile or frustrated negative energy into the weekend. So we're going to reframe things that have maybe happened to take out the maybe that did happen to us throughout the week. But I do want to start off with a tremendous Wayne Dyer quote. And that sort of is like the subtitle of Reframe Friday. And it is as such, and I quote, "If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change," which is, so that's kind of the idea here. So we do a lot of reframing. We kind of, we started in on some reframing even on a little bit on Mind Shift Monday. So kind of one and the same, but this one's a little bit, framed differently because it's, we're heading into the weekend. It's time to air some grievances or get rid of some of this negative energy. So do you have anything that comes to mind, Megan, putting you on the spot, put you on the hot seat?
Always make me go first.
Well, because I do the intro, so I can't just like talk for 10 straight minutes. I mean, I could, but be a bad host. Yeah, what happened to you over the course of this week that you want to, you want to just, or you already have reframed that you can use it as an example? I'll let you go first.
Yeah, so maybe I'll share two things if time allows.
Yeah,
so it's,
totally.
right now we have a busy time in our family life, as you know, because my husband recently had surgery. And so he's laid up and needs a ton of support from me. And so last night, after 2 weeks of being his like full-time caregiver, I finally broke where this, the stress got to me, and it just felt incredibly overwhelming. And I felt like I was serving without a purpose. It just felt like kind of monotonous tasks that maybe weren't being appreciated. And so instead of spending the evening feeling unappreciated, I had to pause and think about the way that I interpret appreciation, because how I receive appreciation or how he delivers appreciation is different. And so I had to think back to what I know about Laverne and how he shows gratitude or how he shows love, and reframe my expectations around that. Because when I reflect back on the week, he shows me he's grateful and thankful every day. And so Laverne's like a very affectionate guy. And so that's how he shows his gratitude and his thanks. And because I can't have him in a position where he's also participating because he can't get up right now. It felt like maybe he wasn't offering that appreciation, but he's shown it all this whole time. And so I had to step back and reframe that for myself.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Obviously, with some of the inner workings of the family dynamic and all that. But that's great, and it's just super cool that you can just take that step back. That's a fantastic example. Like that's perfect, absolutely perfect. So thanks for sharing that for sure. And you said you had a second one as well.
Oh yeah, I had a quick one. So
yeah, for sure.
It snowed the night before last, right? I don't know if it snowed in your end of town, but it snowed here. And I remember when Laverne and I moved in together, I was like, I never have to shovel snow again, because I just hate shoveling snow. Like I just loathe it. So I had to get out there and shovel like right first thing in the morning so that I could clear the sidewalks and everything, because we had a nurse coming to the house. I wanted to make sure it was safe for her, right?
Sure.
So I'm like pissed. I'm like shoveling the snow, all resentful. And again, I had to stop and pause and be like, do I want to spend my day in a space of resentment? I was like, well, of course not. It's just like 7:30. I don't want to start my day like this. So I
Yeah.
asked myself, can I change how I feel about shoveling snow? Not really. Like I don't think I'm ever gonna like it, but I was like, what
Sure.
can I do to change this experience? So I looked over at my neighbor's walkway and it wasn't shoveled yet. So I was like, I'm gonna shovel their walkway. And
Wow.
even as I went to shovel it, I'm like, do I really want to do this? Because it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I was already done my own work, right? But I'm like, no, I
Right.
gotta shovel their walkway. So
Oh, wow.
I shoveled it and it was like a good deed, right? So I felt really good to do that for them. I
Mm.
felt accomplished because I was like, yeah, I just shoveled my driveway and their driveway.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
walked back into the house in a completely different mind frame where I felt
Nice.
like happy that I did that for them.
That's awesome. That's like a double win too. I know what you mean though. It's like you start and you're like a couple shovels in, and now they're gonna know that you went that far, and then you so like, well, no, oh
I'm
man,
like,
now
do
I
I
gotta
want
do.
to do this
Yeah.
good deed? Like, not
Yeah.
really, but
Yeah.
because I practice good deeds or I try and practice good
Mm,
deeds, I
mhm.
know that I always feel happier after I do them. It's like twofold, right? They get to
Yeah.
benefit from it, but I do
Yeah.
too because I feel happy that I've done that nice thing for them.
Wicked. And then, like you say, it's you're never gonna like shoveling snow, but the
Right.
fact that you were able to attach something that you do like doing, at least it made it a little more tolerable, if nothing else. Like you said,
Yeah.
or not even a little more tolerable. It made it tolerable to the point that it completely shifted your mindset going back into
Totally.
the
I was
house.
like
So
totally in a better mood and in a happy mood when I was hanging up the shovel and taking off my coat, whereas I was
nicely
like
done.
pissed when I walked out
Yeah, yeah,
there.
yeah. I love what you say. I loathe. Like
It's
that's a
load.
strong hatred. Like I hatred for
It's
shoveling snow.
so hard.
Oh man. Yeah. Okay. And especially early in the morning too, like to start your day with something you just loathe. It's like, yeah. So no, two great examples. That's awesome. Perfect. Thanks for sharing those. So I had for me, I had on would have been Wednesday. Yes, Wednesday. So same thing. It was early in the morning. I always like to be like own the morning or conquer the morning, right? Because then everything is like momentum. I'm all about like, trying to get some momentum built up. And so recently, just because my sort of weak spot or like spot I never enjoyed doing was like social media. So I
Mhm.
always do social media first because it's like they always say, do something that you don't enjoy. We kind of talked about this a little bit on Monday, right? It's like
Mhm.
pick what you're going to do first. And that's going to help you kind of set the table for the rest of the day. So I've been doing that. And I typed up this really good, in my, to my perception, very good like copy. And I've been constantly battling with like the teleprompter because I like it. I like to just have free form conversation like this, and I feel I'm a fairly strong speaker. But there's when I have to hit certain things and I want it to be linear and I don't want to jump around like I generally do when I'm just normally talking.
Mhm.
I set up a teleprompter, so I had that all ready to go, and then I had my the technology all good to go. And it was like something happened. It was like 2 minutes in, I had this ad lib. I thought it went very well. And I started the teleprompter and I practiced it beforehand. So I knew the teleprompter was working a lot. And it stopped working after line one. And because I had gone live, you can't like edit it or anything. So I'm just like staring and I froze up and I had to like delete. And I was like, okay, that's it. I'm not freaking doing this. And then um, I know myself well enough that when that's something like that happens, I get very bullheaded. I'm like, I have to get this done now. Like, oh, I'm so
Mm.
angry.
Mhm.
And but I also know myself that I'm not very, I don't, I'd probably be doing the video and I'm all like, hey, how's it going today, everybody? Like it just,
Yeah.
I know I have to remove myself from it, but I get so ego driven that I have to, or something. There's something about me
Just
that
like
just
fixated on completing
yes,
it.
fixated. That's a better word. Fixated. So, but as a result, I squandered like another 20 minutes and it wasn't working and I was even more frustrated. And then I'm looking down the barrel of like my calendar and it's got like 6 or 8 things back to back to back to back to back to back, like right into the evening. And it's like, oh man. And now I'm like not in the right mindset. And I'm kind of behind because like my first call's in 40 minutes. I haven't even got the dogs out or anything. So I was just really and I noticed it. I was aware of it coming. I knew the rage was coming. I usually get like a flash in my third eye and crown chakra, and I get like lightheaded, and I start, I don't know. So that's kind of like how it manifests in my body, frustration.
Yeah.
So I just said, just leave it. Turned off the computer and took the dogs out. and had a really good walk with the dogs. And just when you get out into nature and get with the dogs, I started kind of thinking about just how I'm going about things and how I can do them better. And so I really reframed how I'm going to do my scheduling from now on. I was trying to do too much and cramming too much into it. Wasn't leaving myself enough space. I was doing it to myself. But having said that, it's like, you got to figure out where your boundaries are before you can kind of allowing it. So I started alleviating myself from like responsibilities. Like you don't know until you go through these things, right? So the 20 minutes of walking the dogs was enough to just like really lower myself down. And I know how it is, because like when I reflect on my getting worked up, it's kind of like Larry David and Curb Your Enthusiasm. Like it's kind of more humorous than anything, because it's just kind of like over the top, and I become like this caricature. But in the time, I'm just so full of rage, right? Or not rage, not even rage. It's just like
frustrated,
I'm frustrated, right? So that's what it was. So I was able to, I was able to step away, even though I think the old me would have been like, no, even if I have to postpone that first call, I'm going to get this done. So I just, I pulled myself away, went for a walk for the dogs, and the walk allowed me to get back into like parasympathetic and taking deep breaths, and then realizing sort of the error of my ways where, something that's going to take an hour, and it usually takes an hour and a half, and then I have to rush, and it's like, not even do 2 hours. I'm going to start doing things in like 3-hour blocks, like just allowing space, because I'm still in the learning process of a lot of this stuff. So I have to allow that. Otherwise it's just like yesterday, it was just like one thing after another with no processing time. So everything was good and everything went great, but I didn't have like the time to debrief and go, okay, what could I have done better? How did this go? Even it was just like, boom, shut it down. Okay, on to the next call. And there was no breathing room. Right. So that was my big one. That was my first day since I've been starting this new journey or my new career, that I had some very bad resistance that I didn't handle very well, but now coming out of it, I've definitely reframed it. So I won't have that same reaction moving forward.
Awesome. Yeah. It's like, it's not to say that you won't get frustrated again should something go sideways, but it's almost more like if you allot the time for it, then you're maybe anticipating that something can go haywire because it's technology, right? Like bad Wi-Fi signals, whatever. And so when you anticipate it, you're better equipped to deal with it.
I love what you said there. Like, and that's a quote. I think that's a Tony Robbins quote as well, where he mentions,
Tony
he says something about like,
from me. No,
yeah, right. Exactly. It's like been listening to you. Where he says something like, it's like losers react and winners anticipate. So that's totally, and I got a perfect way of like, I don't want to call people losers, but come on, Tony Robbins, clean it up a bit. But
right?
But yeah. But it's a little harsh, but I mean, it's in a sense, it's true, right? It's like, so I do like that. The phrasing, the word that you use specifically, anticipate, is great, because then that's factored into that time block. So my time blocking was just, I was just trying to do too much, but I didn't know. I thought, I'm like, this is great. I got, all these blocks to get all the stuff done, and was like, yeah. And then that's when you stop enjoying the process, right? It's got all this stuff that normally I enjoy, but I'm like rushing through it because I'm like, it's the next thing. What's next? And so it was a lot of that. So that's my reframing that I've been able to get out of my system. And I feel very excited for this weekend. Are you excited for your weekend? Do you have anything cool coming up? Or
I just plan to like relax and do as little as possible.
Good. I'm glad you are.
I need that. It's been like
a
crazy couple of weeks.
For you. Yeah.
I'm not anticipating anything on my schedule. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I've already assessed the scene for like the things that must get done and the things that can absolutely wait. And so
perfect.
I'm hoping to have an easy breezy weekend.
Yep.
And it sounds like you reframed your experience as like a learning opportunity.
Big time. Oh, big time. And you know what? Like normally where I'd get like, it's like what we talked about before, the second arrow, where like you do some bad behavior and then you start getting angry at yourself for that bad behavior. I'm eliminating that. And you know what? I even had a moment when I was walking the dogs there where, that's when I have those moments of frustration. Oh, pizza's here. That's all good. When I have these moments of frustration, I always used to, that's when like the self-doubt voice, like my imposter syndrome voice would start being like, see, hey, I knew it. I knew you weren't going to be able to do this, right? And then that kind of started happening, but I was like, nope, I shut it right down. I was like, no. So, taking that 6 months off last year, I had a lot of that. and I just wasn't exposed to it. And now it's like, had the 4 months back at work, and now I'm doing it again. So I had this gap to kind of process all that. And then, it definitely started. And I was like, no, not happening.
That's so important because that comes down to like really getting factual with your emotions and focusing on what you can control and what you can't control. So you probably can't control every technology glitch, right? Completely. But you can control if you allot yourself enough time and don't overbook yourself.
Absolutely. And that is 100% what it is. Yeah, no, couldn't have said it better myself. Megan, I really hope you have a fantastic weekend. I will be doing a like that sound therapy thing tomorrow and Sunday. Yeah. So I'll let you know when it's on and just have a little listen there. I'd love to hear what you think about it. Yeah. And hopefully that will contribute positively to your weekend if you do decide to tune in. And that goes for everybody else that's watching us right now. But thanks. And we're going to pick it up next week. We'll be doing the Mind Shift Monday, and we got a few other cool things planned, and just going to keep getting better. And we'll have the podcast up fairly soon as well, as soon as we get enough episodes that we can start putting up there. So you guys will be able to listen back to this on Apple Podcast and that sort of thing. So any final words, Meg?
That's awesome. Yeah. I hope you have a great weekend too. It sounds it was still super productive for you. And on to the next week where we take what we learned this week and put it to pavement.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you very much. And thanks for everybody for watching. And we'll see you guys, potentially tomorrow for the sound therapy thing. But for Megan and I, we'll be back at you on Monday morning.
Awesome. See ya.
Okay, thanks. I actually have to end the meeting here. So that's the only thing we can't really talk afterwards, because we're still live and people are seeing us say goodbye, which is fine. It's a little behind the scenes for everybody, but awesome. No, I think that was great. I thought it went really well. So
sweet. Yeah. Sorry. I don't know who rang my doorbell.
So maybe it's your neighbor being like, thanks for shoveling my driveway. They have a fruit basket for you.
That'd be sweet. Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Okay. Awesome. I'll connect with you later on, I'm sure.
Yeah. Sounds good. Have a great weekend.